Hi folks, it's Jane. I need to wind up a couple of yarn balls, so, make one of those yarn scrap cakes. So that's what we're going to do. This is the leftover yarn from that neon. Oops, guess I need to make it go the right way. So I'm going to join it with some of this other yarn that I have in here. And we're just going to have a little bit of a ball winding session. It'll go pretty quick. I had been asking who made the yarn for Joann's, their big twist, and made all the different yarns for Joann that are exclusive to Joann's. And what I found was it's Spin Right. So Spin Right in the U.S. makes a lot of yarns under a lot of brands, including Bernat, Karen, Lily, Peaches and Creams, Patents, Pentex, Red Heart, Coates and Clark, Aunt Lydia, and Susan Bates. And they are the North America's largest marketer of craft yarn and thread. So I have a feeling that if Joann's does go out of business, that one of those brands may just pick up the big twist or may introduce it under a different name. But it would be basically the big twist yarn. So I guess we just have to wait and see, right guys? See what happens, whether someone buys them out or, whatever happens that way. And yes, I am rooting for somebody to buy them out. We're someone that loves crafts, that has money like Elon Musk. That would be great to buy out the yarn and not have to worry about that, but I don't know. You know what? It's going to be what it's going to be. Have some fluff there. But yeah, so I have to admit, I'm a little more optimistic now that, even if something happens to the Joann's, that there will be some remedy. And that gives me a little bit of comfort. So there's that. I have been doing some deep cleaning, looking at some things, and I've filmed some of what I am calling the extraneous yarn that I have around the house that's not in totes, those kind of things, that I think I'm just going to add to this tote, this first tote, so that I can get it taken care of and get it weeded through. So that video will be coming up probably this weekend sometime. But yeah, I need to include it somewhere. I have that. I had been making those Christmas squares to send to Billy, but I never did get them sent off to Billy. Somehow they got put in the back and kind of forgotten about, so I've decided that I'll make a few more squares and then I'll make a blanket with those squares myself. And I'll do that probably, within the next month. I think I have to probably do quite a few more squares, but I've got quite a bit of yarn back there that can be used for it. I have a full skein of Christmas yarn. I think that is Craft Smart, one of the brands. Hobby Lobby. It's not Craft Smart. It's Craft something. I don't remember exactly what it is, but it's there, so thought I would include that. And now I get quite a few squares chunked out, made out. And I had gone out to check my propane level, and someone had left a nice little gift on the door. It was a bag of 2 of the Red Heart hombres in anemone colorway. So probably be making either a Afghan or Afghan or something like that. Who knows? But at least it'll go somewhere instead of just sitting around doing nothing, right? And I have no idea who put it on my door, so. But apparently they know I crochet or knit, so. And either they didn't want it or they knew somebody that wasn't going to use it and they figured they'd send it my way. So yay me. Got some more yarn unintentionally. And sometimes the yarn fairy does that. What is it the cat people say? The cat distribution system drops off cats at your house? Apparently the yarn distribution does the same thing. And I have had people, bring me different bags of yarn. Some of them thought they were, well-intentioned, they knew that I crocheted and knit and didn't want to see it go to waste. And although some of it's not worth salvaging, try to salvage all the yarn that I can, because I hate to see it go to waste. But sometimes you can't salvage everything. Maybe I'll do the green first. And then the purple. End with the purple. If I can find the end of this one. There it is. So what have you guys been working on? I've still been working on those willow squares, trying to get those finished so I can get that finished up by this weekend. I don't know if I should be able to get it finished up this weekend. I have a feeling that I won't be able to get to church. We're supposed to get some more snow and ice Saturday night. So it'd be pretty slippy out there Sunday morning. So I guess we'll see what happens, that kind of thing, and see how that goes. But yeah, it's interesting how the weather acts sometimes. Sometimes there's nothing, and that comes of what the weatherman says, and then there's other times it comes in droves, and it's a mess. And I hate when it's a mess. Because that really throws off a lot of things, Not only Bible studies for me, but get-togethers that I may have signed up for, that kind of thing. But just have to take it as it comes with the weather. Sometimes we don't have a choice in it. We just do the best we can. That's a good thing about humans. We're pretty adaptive. We can usually adapt to a lot of environments. I mean, truly, look at those folks that are in Antarctica and how they deal with the weather. You know, those cold weathers. It can be done. May not be as pleasant as you'd like it to be, but it can be done. And I think sometimes the stuff that goes on in Antarctica kind of helps with almost being in space, I would think. Do I know that for sure? Nope. Do I imagine it does? Yep. Alright, well, we're going to stop with this cake. We'll leave it a little short. It'll be okay. Got plenty of colors in it, so we'll deal with that. I had a yellow that I need to cake up, and I am still going to cake it up because it's a little bit of a mess. So I think I'm just going to cake that up on its own. It's kind of a light pale yellow, and it feels like it might be red heart. Or red heart-esque. Who knows? But it needs to be wound because it's a little bit of a mess, and I want to get back into a cake so it's a little bit easier to use. I do like using cakes. I don't really like using balls of yarn. I know there's a lot of people that just love having balls of yarn, and that's fine, but that's not how Jane rolls. She doesn't like a ball. I prefer a center pull ball, cake, that kind of thing. I'll use a skein and pull from the center. Don't mind doing that, but I think balls get loose and get to rolling all over the floor, and they pick up all that dirt and can't be used, that kind of thing. So that's my big thing against balls. Now, at the Prayer Shawl Ministry, they have a bag that has just a bunch of little balls in it. And no one is willing to take it. And there's a part of me that I've thought, maybe I should take it and just make an Afghan. And then I'm like, you got enough totes full of yarn. Manage your own yarn. So, and they're nice. I mean, they could be used for comfort dolls, make some comfort bears, that kind of thing. Need to get this kind of cleaned up a little bit and figure out where it's coming from. This is that ombre. It's the leftover ombre. I'd asked the gal if she wanted it, and you know, she wanted the leftovers back. And she told me no, just, you know, use it in a project. Or I said, well, I'll use it in a scrap blanket then. It's generally what I would use it for. She's fine with it. Which I want to wanted to make sure that she was okay with it, because she did purchase the yarn for this, for the poncho. And yes, she did pay me a decent rate. I had forgotten that she was a crocheter. So, but she's had some hand issues and just hadn't been able to get back to crocheting. So that's why she'd asked me to crochet the poncho for. And like I said, I don't normally do things for commission because, you know, people don't generally pay you a decent wage for it. And it just kind of irritates me, you know. That may be a bad way to look at it, but I don't mind if someone sees something that I've crocheted and and it's finished, and then they ask me, can I purchase that? Yeah, I got no problem with that. The thing that I have a problem with is when someone asks me to make something, and you never know if they're going to follow through with it, that kind of thing, which can be rather annoying if they do not follow through with the payment part of it. And, I learned from, like I said, making some of those Afghans for a friend of mine that, no, we don't do that anymore. You got to pay half down that's non-refundable, plus the cost of the yarn, and then if you decide to back out, that's your loss, not mine. Because generally I put a lot of time into making these Afghans. As many of you know, when you're making different things, how much time you put into making them. People assume that it's real quick, easy, and, doesn't take you any time at all. They don't realize that sometimes it takes quite a bit to get it done. Now, come on, we can get the rest of you in there. Yes, we can. And we're gonna. I don't care whether you like it or not, we're gonna get it done. If I have to take you off and roll you separately, and I'm gonna. Sometimes you can squeeze the cake and get a little bit more on it. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you just have to go with the flow. Let whatever happen, happen. But I'm going to go ahead and put this label in the center. Don't lose my center spot. Then I'm just going to wind it up around the outside. There's quite a bit to wind up, but we're going to get it done. We're going to get it wound up, whether it takes all evening or what. I'm kind of stubborn like that. And I do have another label that I will probably take and cut and tape around on the outside of this one. In fact, I think I'd done 3. Let me get this straightened out a little bit. I really detest when they get all discombobulated. Isn't it funny how our personalities come out when it comes to winding up our cakes, those kind of things? And yeah, we're going to be a little bit of a pain in the butt today. Thank you for coming to the party. I have a friend who detests taking things apart. She cannot stand having to detangle. And in some ways, I think it's kind of funny because I do find detangling somewhat calming. Kind of like the same way that I do just crocheting in general. And I mean, it's almost like a puzzle. You know what I mean? It's like working one of those puzzles, putting a puzzle together, taking it apart, whatever. And I do find it somewhat calming and relaxing to do that. And then sometimes I get frustrated and want to scream and shout, throw a hissy fit, but hissy fits don't work all that well. Still have a little bit of the cough, and I'm not sure what that's about. After Awana Wednesday night, when I was going to bed, I could sort of feel my throat was a little tingly and a little sore. And my first thought was, not again. Not again. Seriously? We're gonna have to worry about this again? And we had a lot of people that were out that were sick, a lot of kids that were out that were sick. So I think it's rather amazing. I had, and then someone was talking about the whole thing with the chickens and the bird flu. And I have quite a few friends that have chickens, which they sell the eggs. A couple of my friends don't sell them. You just ask them for eggs and they'll bring you a dozen eggs. You know, a dozen or two eggs if you ask, that kind of thing. But they're not seeing any influence, and they're, you know, keeping a watch on their chickens, looking for the signs and symptoms, those kind of things. But I'd read somewhere that actually when you cook the meat or even the eggs, that it kills the bird flu. I don't know if that's true or not, but then again, I also don't know if I want to be eating some chicken that's had the bird flu. So I guess there's that. You know, and then you have a lot of people pointing to I think it was a woman working, that was handling chickens that passed away with the bird flu. But then they forget that she had like, I think 6 different other comorbidities. So she had a lot of health issues anyway. So, and you never know if it was simply the bird flu or if it was a combination of all those things that actually unalived her. So, you know, sometimes I think we need to be careful. And I'm pretty sure those people that work with the chickens are pretty careful because they don't want their whole flock dying, because it will kill the birds. You know, I mean, this is their main source of living, so I can't believe that they would sell diseased birds, but I guess it's possible. Then again, if it's possible, most likely it's those big companies like Purdue and Tyson and those that are doing it. So, and sometimes I think this bird flu just gives them another reason to charge more for products. I do know that my brother-in-law raises cattle, and if there's one that's sick in the herd and the illness cannot be treated with antibiotics, he'll put them down. And I think there's a lot of farmers and ranchers that just put them down because they don't want to have to worry about it. They don't want to infect other people, and it doesn't pay off in the long run because the rest of the herd can get sick, those kind of things. I think I saw today where They found the bird flu in a couple of cattle today that migrated. Now, I'm not sure how that works, how, that happens, but doesn't normally go from species to species, so I can't help but wonder if there was some GMO modifications being done with some of these breeds, and that made them more susceptible to certain things. Of course, I don't follow the Cattlemen's Association, so I don't know what's being, what they're studying and what they're talking about, so I'm just talking off my head. All right, need to pause you a minute. Okay. So, I guess we have to find out, and we have to use science to determine what's going to work and what's not going to work and what the cause of all this is. But I think sometimes we just do too much genetic engineering. We need to stop. Some of the genetic engineering is good because it yields a better crop. It's more disease resistant, that kind of thing. I'm not so sure when you start working with the animal DNA and mutating it and everything else, if that's a good thing. Kind of seems like it might be kind of Frankensteinish. And I haven't listened to the news to see, what the latest thing was with the newest revelations of all the news media that's being paid off and that kind of thing. So I'd be interested to find out what that's all about. If anybody's reporting on it, or if they're trying to keep it hush-hush, they don't want you to know about it. And I heard somewhere today that it wasn't just Politico reporters, Politico staff that didn't get their paychecks yesterday or the other day, that it was worldwide. There were reporters that weren't being paid, or staff members of different organizations weren't getting paid. And these are all in media. So, I'm not sure why we're funding media. But I guess the powers that be figure we need to, so I think media can do well on its own, so that's my personal 2 cents on it. And if they can't, they need to figure it out. We have a lot of people that are what they try to term as citizen journalists, but there are a lot of people that are journalists that have started their own podcast, their own type of thing to inform people of what's going on in the world, and they don't have that kind of funding. They don't even have it available. So where are their kickbacks and their grants and those kind of things? Why isn't it equal? Why isn't it fair for everyone across the board? Who knows? I do think it's rather interesting, that we're finding all these out. I still find it interesting that the left is just spreading so many lies. It's not even funny. And I'm sorry. We do need to have some kind of transparency with our spending. I mean, it's our tax money, so why shouldn't we be able to see exactly where it's going and how it's being used? And we have some of those Congress people saying, well, it was in appropriations, those kind of things. Well, yes, some of it was, but then some of it was diverted. Any money that goes to NGOs is oftentimes diverted through a lot of channels, and you have no idea where those channels lead to or where they're coming from. And they all siphon off a little bit, so that's money laundering, folks. If it's not going directly to the cause that it was designated for, every bit of it, then that's a problem. That's fraud. And like I said, some of the programs that they've said that they've funded, I've looked through some of those appropriation bills and I can't see them in there. But, you know, maybe I'm just not looking for the right name. Maybe they changed the name in the meantime. Yeah, I'm that kind of nerdy person. I'm going to go look up other information and find it and see those things. I did watch someone who talked about the different things about how they think that Doge is getting through a lot of these different programs, those kind of things, looking for the fraud and the waste and all that kind of stuff. And they're saying they're kind of cross-referencing it with WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks back in 2015 disclosed all of the information. Not some of those up to the current dates, but they disclosed a lot of that information that was going on. You know, things like Obama's mother had worked for USAID in Indonesia, so there were some ties there. There were, and some of that funding did not go to proper channels as well. So, you know, there's a lot of information out there. And like I said, there is a lot of information that shows that there are some Republicans that also benefited from this, what they're calling a slush fund, which I have no doubts it's a slush fund. I mean, after all, why would people be so angry about finding out where their tax dollars are going? Why would senators be so angry about it? For years, we've been trying to find it, and, you know, they've kind of kept it from us for years. So, and they don't want the truth to get out there. So, what's that about? Why? Why don't they want the truth out there? We deserve to know the truth. We really do. It's our tax paid. It's our tax money. So, gotta stop you because the battery's about to die. So I'll be back in just a minute. And now that I've finished winding up those cakes, I've got one cake that's just fully black, two blacks I needed to join. I have the one cake that is the blue ombre. One cake that's got a little bit of mix of everything, pinks, grays, purple, green, and then the one little cake of the yellow. And those cakes are ready to be put over on my cart to be used for something else, so thought I would start working on a couple more of the willow square while we're talking. So yeah, I think, you know, those kind of things are important for us to find out. There should be total transparency when it comes to where our tax dollars are going. And I do think we should be able to go in and see where that's going at all times. Any day of the week, if you want to go look and see, you know, what they are spending money on, I think we should be able to. So, but then again, you know, I don't understand why Democrats are so angry about this. I mean, it's just audits. It's audits of the departments and where the money is going, what has been spent, so you have a basis of what's going on. And yes, that needs to be done from time to time. And I just find it interesting that Democrats don't want that to be done. You know, why? What's the problem? I mean, we've all talked about it being corrupt and everything else. And yeah, you know, I do have a lot of questions about where some of that money's going. You know, I have questions. You know, you have these Congress people like AOC, who makes a total of $174,000 a year in the role that she is in. Yet she's worth $30 million. How? How did she amass that kind of wealth? I have questions. I have questions about some of these things. I've seen where even Republicans have gotten kickbacks supposedly from this money that was given to Zelensky. And what's interesting is some of that money seems to account for the amount that Zelensky says they haven't received yet. So exactly how does that work? And, you know, my big takeaway is, why were we paying for stars to have photo ops with Zelensky? Why weren't the stars paying for that? Why are the taxpayers paying for it? You know, there are some questions that just make me go, something ain't right, something stinks to high heaven. And I think we have a right to know. So, but I think the next 4 years are going to be interesting. You know, of course, Democrats think they're going to impeach him, and who knows, maybe they'll get their way, you know, to try to impeach him again. But from some of the constitutional lawyers that I have heard, everything that he's doing is perfectly within the realms of the executive branch. And when you look at many of these departments that we have, most of them were not created out of Congress. They were generally executive orders by different presidents creating these different entities within our government. And so they all fall under the president and or one of the other branches. And we don't seem to have very many Democrats on board with doing any kind of audit of the government spending. I mean, how many times do you have to sit and look at your budget, review it, look at what you've been spending, and make decisions on, well, I need to cut that. I really don't need that. Do I really need Starbucks coffee 3 times a week? You know, maybe just once a week as a treat, and the rest of the time I bring my own coffee. We all do it, you know, all the time, each of us in our households. We review while we're spending, look to see if we can make some changes, not spend so much here and Is it a wise choice for our family or is it not? We all do it. So, why shouldn't we do it with our government? I think we should. I think they should have audited things a long time ago. A long, long time ago. And I think they've already released MLK's, what they declassified. I think that's already been released. I don't know that they've released any of the others. But I think that's a good thing. And you know, all of the 3-letter agencies that we have, they were all brought into existence through executive orders. So they all fall under the executive branch. And they all have to answer to the executive branch. I'm looking forward to the spring coming up. I've been seeing a lot of different craft fairs being advertised. Of course, most of them don't start till March. That's okay. At least they're coming. And I like to go look and see. Like to see if they're following new trends, those kind of things. I think last year, a lot of the trends that I was seeing in the craft fairs were a lot of resin things. I've always seen a lot of things, you know, household kitchen things that were made. And plushies. Seen a lot of plushies. But very few shawls, market bags, some of those kind of things. I didn't see a whole lot of those out at craft fairs. Crochet towels, dishcloths, that kind of thing. So I'm hoping there's a lot of different vendors that are showing off a lot of different things. I don't think that they had a lot of home decor though. So that might be the new thing that we see. But I guess we'll have to see what's coming up, won't we? That should be a lot of fun. And I'll say, with the craft fairs that I have seen in this region, very seldom do I see wearables, knit or crocheted. And I'm not sure what that is. Maybe those kind of items don't sell in this area, so a lot of people just don't think to make them or don't think it's worth their while. I don't know. I mean, I did see at one of the craft fairs last year, there was a woman that took different pieces of wood, most likely out from her yard or out back, or, you know, she went along the river picking up wood. And then she would make little fairy scenes or little gnome scenes with it. And those were awful cute to see. So, seen a couple of people there, you know, back to wire wrapping jewelry, that kind of thing. And I always think that's neat to see. And I thought about getting some of that crochet thread out there and crochet some earrings, but I don't know if I'm going to do that. Or even tatting some earrings. I do know I used to love making tatted earrings. Always found it interesting how you could create such an intricate little owl or, little critter, little pumpkin, those kind of things. And at the same time, it was kind of soothing to be able to work with threads and those kind of things. And I had learned to do needle tatting and shuttle tatting, so I enjoy both of them. There's a plus side to each of them. And although I do prefer the needle tatting more. I just do. And I've had a lot of people tell me, yeah, but how do you add more thread when you need it? Well, same way you do when you're doing a shuttle tat. Only difference is you're using the needle. So, and many years ago, I did a lot of stamping, although it wasn't something that I found all that thrilling because, quite honestly, some of the things were quite expensive. Stamping up, and a lot of those was too expensive to be able to have to pay for those kind of things, so. Why do I have an extra thing here? One, two, three. Because I did that wrong, that's why. That's okay, Jane. You'll get over it. Thought my corner was a little juicy. And it was. So I've done those kind of things, used to make cards and all that kind of stuff, but I really had no outlet for the cards. And I used to love making the cards. Coloring them, painting them, those kind of things, using markers on them. But at that time, I didn't have anywhere to use my cards and hadn't really thought about doing a card ministry or anything like that. But now I'm part of a card ministry, and most of my job is coloring the cards, so I'm fine with that. And I find coloring very therapeutic. I just do. I find it very calming. So I do enjoy that. And I love to color in just regular adult coloring books, even kids' coloring books. But I don't get as much opportunity as I would like to. And of course, they're all packed away right now. So, I hate to bring them out and have to put them back away and all that kind of stuff. So I just leave them where they're at. And that kind of upsets me a little bit because I want to play. can't play like I'd like to play. I don't know what you two are up to. You two are acting a little suspicious. I'd walked into the bedroom, and I have a small Afghan that lays across the foot of my bed. And when I walked into the bedroom, Izzy was under it. She comes flying out. Like, what? I wasn't under it. I wasn't under it. It was rather cute. And it doesn't bother me that she was under it, you know? I just thought it was cute that she almost looked guilty for being under the blanket, under the quilt. And I don't know why she thought she had to be looking guilty about it, because it's no big deal. I mean, they lay on it at night to sleep, so what's the big difference, right? And that's part of the reason that's why I put that down there, so I don't have all that cat fur, all over the bed. And for the most part, both of them sleep on it. Every once in a while, Izzy will come up closer to my side, up near my armpit. But generally, for the night's end, she's down there at my feet. And Ronan always lays at my feet. First he has to walk on them, and then he lays down on them, and then he rolls off of them, but he's right there by my feet. So yeah, I think that's kind of funny the way that these two do that. Of course, they've got to come coo at me and tell me, if I'm not going to bed early enough, they have to come tell me about it. They think I need to be in bed by a certain time. Ronan especially will pace back and forth if I'm not gone to the bedroom yet. He's the one that worries about if we're going to get our bedtime in. Izzy? She could care less. Whenever I go to bed, I go to bed. She's fine with it. So, yeah, that's some of the crazy thoughts that run through my head on a daily basis. The other crazy thought that runs through my head is, I really would like to have a vegetable garden this year. Would I be able to do it? Might have to do it in containers. So, at least then they'd be able to move with me, right? That's kind of what I'm thinking about right now. Is doing some container gardening. Thinking about getting that started. So, of course, if you want to get it started, you got to start planning. So I'm a-planning. And then I'm like, okay, if I do container gardening, how am I going to keep the deer out of it? I'm going to have to wire up some cages around there or something, so they can't eat my produce. I was thinking simple things like peppers, and maybe some onions, some garlic, and I don't know if they'd eat the garlic though. And some tomatoes, those kind of things. Maybe potatoes with some tires or something like that. You know, where you start in the lowest level of the tire, you fill it with their dirt and plant your potatoes, and as your potato plants grow and reach the top, then you take and you put another tire on top of it, add some more soil. Let the potatoes come through it and grow, and keep doing that until you've reached the point where you're ready to harvest your potatoes. Then you can take the tires off and your potatoes practically fall out of their, out of the place, so you can gather them up, wash them up, dry them off, and store them however you want to store them. Whether you want to dry can them or can them, or just store them in cold storage. So yeah, looking at something like that. Kind of plotting and planning, seeing how it'll work out, where I would put them. Would I put them on the patio or around the house, different places? Just don't know. That'll be something to figure out. All right, one more square. I don't know if I can get another square out of the rest of this, but I'm going to give it a shot. But I'm going to let you go for now. So everybody remember, do something kind for somebody today. And I'll see you again later on this week. Bye.